The special city commission meeting to order. This is Monday, March 29th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Would you all stand for the opening prayer and the pledge to allegiance? You join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Mr. Morton, do we have any additions, deletions, changes?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. At this time, we will open for public comments. Do we have anybody who wishes to address? Yes, sir. If you would come up to the microphone and state your name, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Willie Gonzalez. I believe I live now at 305 Villa del Agua. I've been a Clewiston resident for the last 5 months. I don't know if it's the right time to talk about the Commerce Park, or I can speak about the Commerce Park once you bring it up. You let me know.
Be my guest, sir. You may go ahead and speak now.
Thank you. I've been reached out by several people. I was very interested in the Commerce Park. I hear that you're going to be talking about it today. I looked into it purchasing a couple lots when Al Perry was the city manager back then. I even came to the city manager when Michael Atkinson was vice mayor. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back in the day, about right before my elections, talking about maybe July, August 2020, to actually purchase a lot there to create my business. I have tried to purchase 1 to 2 lots there in the last 3 years, and I continue being turned down. Miss Luann Walker has been my representative. My realtor, Joe Servino, he actually sent an email to the city manager, and all this I've been aware in the last few days as well, with my email, trying to purchase 3 lots through Luann Sugarland Realty. We haven't gotten a response back. I just got a message now that we've hired somebody from Miami, a realtor from Miami, and again, I just got this message, and a realtor from Miami that is going to be selling those lots. I'm pretty sure that we have plenty of realtors out here that are willing to make the commission and spend the money here, not the Miami realtors, because you know where that money's going if we have Miami realtors trying to sell here and where the money's going. I'm looking for a lot. I have been looking for a lot, and I've reached out to Randy Martin. I would like to invest for our children in our community. That is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a lot, a 1 acre lot or 1.25 acre lot, to invest in our community for the children of our community. And I believe, Mr. Pittman, you and I have had conversations as well as where I'm going to and towards the future of Clewiston. Me as an outsider have completely felt as an outsider. But the people in Montour that voted me in at 62%, I guess they didn't feel that I was an outsider. I was the light to the people in Montour. And I'm helping them as much as I can to see them grow. So going forward, I ask if there is anything that I can do as a businessman for Clewiston and for the children of Clewiston. And I already had it with Mr. Randy Martin. With that, I'll let you continue with your workshop on that. And please reach out to me. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Gardner, second by Pittman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we will move forward. Resolution number 2021-27. 2021-27 accepts and approves the recommendation made within the summary report from Quanta Technology dated March 22nd, 2021, to proceed with the negotiation of a contract with Census based on their best and final offer, plus the network as a service option, and authorizes the submission of the Florida Municipal Power Agency, FMPA, pooled loan program application for the advanced metering infrastructure for the city's electric and water system. Financial impact is going to be $2,281,093. Do we have any citizen comments on this at this time? Hearing nothing, the recommended motion is to approve. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-27 for us to discuss.
Motion for discussion by Gardner. A second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Heisler. All in favor?
I got a
Whoops,
couple
go ahead. I'm
questions.
sorry, discussion.
I don't know if this, Danny can probably, somebody can answer it. First off, we don't need to approve the company and then the financing separate.
Well, you're not approving this financing in this motion. You're just authorizing staff to apply for it.
Okay.
So you don't need to do that separately, no.
Okay. And then on the summary, on the AMI pricing summary,
Yes, sir.
at one-time cost, and I see all the one-time costs of the two different companies. Annual fees. Am I reading this right or wrong? What's the annual fees going to be?
It would be per year 1/10, roughly.
One what?
1/10 of that amount. So
10-year.
47,000 and change on the census one. Well, yes, 47,736.20 would be annual, and it would total for the 10 years plus the 173 broken into the network. So the annual fees is going to be about 65,000 a year going
Now, is
for, and that's committed for 10 years. But that's average. It's lower at the start, and then it goes up a little bit each year. But it's cumulatively 650,000.
What that is, Jimmy, is we're going to be a hosted solution. Let me get up there. That's the annual fee for the charges, because I don't want our guys handling the servers or any of that type information. So everything will be hosted. And plus, that's going to cover, my guys aren't going to touch anything in the field. If something breaks, they're going to repair it.
Oh, so that's included?
Yes,
Yeah.
everything is included. I don't want us fooling with anything. I don't want my guys taking a line crew to go work on a repeater. I want their guys to come because they have guys that are local.
Oh, what local meaning?
Wellington,
Well, okay.
yeah, they've got two guys in that area.
Now, do they offer additional services like for our SCADA or
Yes.
anything?
Yes.
And I know at one,
I think what I mentioned to you guys, that Census is a flight company. Flight is who we're going to deal with in the I&I program on our pumps with the SCADA. So I talked to Fred last week about maybe if we can tie that in somehow through our I&I program to get the SCADA system for the sewer system on their side.
right.
But, so that's what we're trying to do
But
there.
that would be separate from this arrangement.
Yes, that
Yeah,
would
I
be.
understand that.
But That's kind of why I do like Census, because they are a flight company, which we are going to be, with flight pumps
Okay.
in the sewer system. We're replacing them all.
This may
Let me
be a,
just mention that you're not approving any dollar amount
No-
tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
All you're doing is approving going forward with the negotiations with this one company. And also an application to FMPA to start the financing. That's all you're doing tonight. So the dollar amounts on here are the dollar amounts that the
This-
consultant and staff looked at when making this recommendation. But it's not an approval of those dollar amounts as binding on the city at this point.
okay.
That will be in the contract itself. That'll come back in the next couple of months or so.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not any higher than that.
No.
No.
That's their best and final offer, and we anticipate they will
Okay.
hold it.
Jimmy, we are going to have a huge savings on the water side. That is something. And the two companies that or cities that we visited, they did this for technology, basically. They didn't do it for savings. They kept their employees. They didn't. That was not their focus. But we are going to have a huge savings on the water side.
Well, and possibly employee, staff, things like that, because it's hard to keep meter readers.
Yeah, they turn over
Yep.
pretty often.
Okay, that's all the questions I had.
Good.
Anyone else?
No, I didn't know. I know that FMPA is on the line. I didn't know if
Oh, Oh,
they're.
Naveed's there, but that's
Yeah, it's a couple of them online. If you have any questions for either FMPA
Naveed,
or-
Mr. O'Hain is on there. And Mr. Richardson, are you on there from Quanta?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, sir.
yeah, he's handled the RFP process.
And anytime we look at this kind of a financial impact, I mean, it's a big amount, but I also know that over the years it's been discussed, and it's certainly what I believe we have to do to prepare for the future. And what I really appreciate is that through FMPA and Quanta Technology, they went through this whole process for us and looked at our options and have come back with a recommendation. And I know that it's going to change the way that we do business, which I think it's important for us to do that at this point, and that there's going to be savings along the way as well.
And
And we
those,
prepare for the future.
and one footnote to that, there'll also be a significant improvement in customer service as a result of this. It has tremendous ability to improve customer service and have our customers have access directly to data that will help them manage their services.
And if it ties into that SCADA systems in the future, that would be ideal. All right, any other comments, questions by the commission? We have a motion by Gardner, second by Highslope. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing nothing, motion carries. Agenda item number 2, Resolution 2021-28. And this approves the change order 001 to the contract with Conductor Power Limited Liability Corp. for Clewiston substation upgrades. The resolution is to approve a contract, Resolution 2021-15 approved a contract between the city and Conductor Power for capital improvements to the distribution substation. The construction is underway, and the contractor discovered site-conditioned discrepancies from the design drawings. The attached schedule of values to the change order itemizes the extra material and labor costs. FMPA Senior Substation Engineer Alan O'Haron will be available via telephone, and he is on here, to answer questions. Our financial impact will be $14,183. Are there any citizen comments as to this issue at this time? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Pittman, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gardner. Discussion?
I think that it's something, of course, when they get on site and they see things, it's things that have to be addressed. And while they're on site, I think it's important that they are addressed. So I know I always had to spend more money, but I don't think I talked to Danny this afternoon, and it looks like it's got to be done.
also be getting a new SCADA system.
Yay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Alan's on there. you'd like an update of the project.
Mr. O'Hare? Mr. O'Haron,
Yes, I'm on the line.
would you like to give a quick update as to the project, sir?
I can give a quick update. I've gone out to the substation site and viewed the construction that's going on out there right now. I think there's some very good improvements going on to the substation right now. It is a pretty complex. It's not a large project, but it's a very complex project because of the amount of the substation and the control of the substation that it touches. I think the work is progressing very well, but I do think there were a couple of small things that we either overlooked or kind of missed when we were going in because of the complexity of the project, and those are the things that you're seeing that show up on the change order that are in front of you now.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, any other comments? Hearing none, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Resolution numbers 2021-29, 30, and 31. Resolution 2129 approves and authorizes the mayor to sign the contract for sale and purchase between the City of Clewiston and California Corporation for the sale of the property located at 507 Commerce Court, Clewiston, Florida, known as Lot Number 2, Clewiston Commerce Park. Do we have any citizen comments as to this item at this time? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2021-29. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Gardner, second by Heisler. Discussion? Hearing none. Whoops, go ahead, ma'am.
I just noted that this is a 5-year, the business has been in operation for 5 years, I think is what Randy shared with us. And, pizza ovens, I love it.
Yes, home pizza ovens, no less. Yeah.
Well, at some point, I'd like to comment on the public comment related to these recommendations.
Yes, sir. You're my guest.
If you desire, as I noted to the commission, a couple of things. I've had other discussions with other potential buyers for some of these properties, including Lot 2. But Lot 2, at the time I discussed it with the realtor, the realtor made an offer, and it was, to my opinion, speculative in nature and no commitment for an actual business to be built on that site in the most recent offer that I got. And I certainly listened to those, but as you know, in our Commerce Park Industrial District guidelines, it specifically states we're seeking investment and job creation and private investment in the park. So I'm going to prioritize a project that's going to create jobs and build a building, within a reasonable expectation versus an expectation that somebody next door might grow and need that lot and somebody wants to buy it. So that's been my understanding, the practice in the past the city's utilized, and that's what I've used in trying to address these. I specifically have had discussions with Mr. Gonzalez, as he mentioned, and I wanted to mention that because he had indicated to me more recently that he had sold the business that he originally talked to me about locating there, and it was a towing and recovery and vehicle related business, which in my opinion is not as impactful as some of these that I'm recommending in terms of their impact. And it also raises the question of, is that an appropriate fit within the business park? But again, most recent conversation we had is he has sold that business fairly recently. Regarding the use for children and youth, he and I have discussed that, but that would not be an appropriate use of a park lot, in my opinion, in Commerce Park. It is zoned for industrial business type uses. And so I certainly am willing to talk to him about any other properties the city might have that a facility could be located that would be a sports venue, like a sports center where children can hone their skills for recreation and things of that nature, and there are appropriate locations for that, and it doesn't require industrial zoning. So I don't know if there's an existing building. We just talked about that fairly recently, the concept he's got in mind, and I fully support that effort. And we'll work with him and anyone else interested in doing such a project in Clewiston.
And you have been very consistent in every meeting in saying that you have looked at what's the best fit for Commerce Park and what's the best outcome for the city. So, and I appreciate that.
And I haven't excluded anyone from that, but I am going to recommend to the board, and once the board gives me direction, then I'll go forward and act accordingly. The other specific lot that the local realtor is interested in, and I don't care where the realtor's from, if they bring a project that's going to locate here, I'm going to listen. And particularly if the terms are better than the local are offering. But in the case of Lot 1, that has not been recommended yet, so it does not preclude further consideration, and the local realtor does represent an interest that I'm just going to be discussing Lot 1 with, and I hope to have something worked out by the next meeting of the commission on Lot 1, because I do have multiple offers, but I'm trying to get some of them to consider other locations within the park that remain of comparable size. And so I hope that to keep at least two of those offers. Two of them are very similar in terms of the nature of what they're proposing, and one of them is different, and the local realtor represents that interest. And if they are still, and last I heard, they're still interested, I'm hoping to make have an arrangement to bring back to the board a contract for consideration at your April meeting on that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any more questions or comments by the commission? We've closed public comments. If you'd like to on the next, you may.
Next meeting?
On the next item agenda. Okay.
But it had to do with this one here.
Very quickly, yes, sir.
Mr. Mark?
Yes.
Thank you, board. How many commerce spaces do we have available?
At this point,
Vacant available?
depending on the board's action tonight, that would mean we've contracted for 7 of the remaining pieces. There are 5 of with the subdivision that I proposed of plot 10, so there'd be 5 spaces remaining.
Right, but at the end of the day, what we want to do is exactly what you say. Bring something that's going to be something good for the community as well. And have we looked into Mr. Servino's fencing company that they were going to bring out?
That's the one I'm looking at Lot 1.
At Lot 1. I know it may be hard. It may be hard as well, but
It's still available, and there are 2 other pieces of comparable size that I'm going to be discussing with that company.
but I think for your time, hopefully we could work something on the city. If the city has a lot available that does not have to do with the Commerce Park, we go ahead and move something into this, somewhere else that has to do with the children
Very
of
good.
Clewiston. Thank you all for your time.
Sir.
Have a great day. Look forward to
We'll
talking
talk
to you.
again, Roland.
Thank you.
We'll move to the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing nothing, resolution passes. Resolution 2021-30 approves and authorizes the mayor to sign a contract for sale and purchase between the city of Clewiston and Sandra Bibiana Masso for the sale of the property located at 513 Commerce Court, Clewiston, Florida, known as Lot 3, Clewiston Commerce Park. Do we have any citizen comments on this item? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2021-30.
So moved.
Moved by Pittman, second.
Second.
Second by Heislow. Discussion?
I had a question to Randy about this one. I guess this is a startup business.
It is.
And so what's the anticipated process for the startup business that hasn't formed yet?
As I understand it, they have secured a pre-approval, if you will, for financing, and is my expectation, based on the conversations and how hard they've been pressing for it, that they plan to go forward within the next year of constructing a business. It is a business person who has other interests, and I believe they've been doing some of this stuff in a smaller scale, so it's not like it's a completely no experience with the products, but as a startup business, my expectations within the next 6 to 12 months, they would be constructing a 5,000 square foot facility approximately to begin full scale operations with the number of employees that they anticipate, which I think was up to 12, if I remember correctly.
The reason why I asked the question is,
Yes.
as y'all know, that we sold some lots already out there,
Yep.
and they were supposed to be doing construction work, and then the pandemic hit, and then things stopped, and that was actually an established business. I guess I'm just concerned that we're selling the lots, and there's not any time frames, and I guess we can't do that. But on a startup company, I guess I was just a little bit concerned. What would happen?
Yeah.
They're going to buy it, hold it on for a year, and then turn around and maybe, we'll forgive them. We won't want it back, and we sell it again, which we've already done that once. So, and that was an established business. So I'm just concerned about that. And I didn't know, I guess I'm asking Gary, is there, our contracts don't have anything in them to say within a certain time frame.
We do not have provisions for that in this contract. If you wanted a commitment from the buyer that they would have to construct within a period of time, that could be a negotiated item. I guess the question remains, if they don't construct in that time, is the city going to take the property back?
Right. That's
That's
the
the bottom
question.
line.
And, we tried this before. Last time around, we had reverters in it, a buyback option. And, not too long ago, I think it was last meeting and the meeting before we released
We did, right.
those.
We did.
Yeah, because they just didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, businesses change, as you know, and the economy is driven it really sets the tone for it. But and I certainly would prefer, like these other two, established businesses with a history. And so far, out of the four I've recommended, 3 of them have that. This one doesn't, but I don't have a better option. The other one is even more speculative than this one. It's almost like a flip, and I just if I sense that or know that, but I all I've gotten is very positive feedback that they're on a quicker time frame. I'm still hopeful that Lot 6, which occurred before I got here, is still on schedule to build, and they had pricing, had contractors they were negotiating with in January, and then the bottom fell out in March for them. In terms of the pandemic, and they stopped. But I've heard they're still very interested in building, but I haven't seen any evidence of that through a contract yet for building their building. But
I asked Randy questions last week very similar to the ones that you're asking now, because like you, I don't want to see us sell lots to businesses that aren't going to come to fruition or, whatever. But
Yeah.
it was my understanding that it's just not doable. It's not enforceable. It's not in our best interest to.
Well, and like Randy, you just mentioned, there is, I guess in here you said that there's some pre-financing already. So, at least they're doing their due
yeah,
diligence. to get
that's
this
my
done.
understanding. I
So-
check all of those things because those are good indicators to me that it's a viable interest.
And we don't need to do things that make us less appealing.
Well, that's it. We're competitive.
startups, right.
In fact, I've already gotten feedback on the lot we sold to last meeting, and you entered the contract, that one of our peer neighboring communities was very upset about it, and the business response was Clewiston gave me the offer first and accepted my offer first, and that's the reason they picked us over Moorhaven. And so,
Okay. Well, I just wanted
I
to
think
bring
you,
up those
you do
points
your
and
due
questions.
diligence, like you say, and that's all you can do.
yeah.
Right.
I'm for selling the lots, and again, not to someone that if we know they're going to flip it, we would probably hold on to it. But I'm excited that we're selling most of them. I'd rather sell 8 and hold 2 for the perfect person than
Yeah.
have 8 empty.
Just have 2
Yeah, and
Tax rolls.
if we get 3 under construction, one of them is in a big hurry. The other one is chomping at the bit, and this one has been very very persistent in their request to go forward. So,
Thanks. Those are all my comments.
thank you.
And I failed to mention that we do have a financial impact of $52,807 $1,058.68. So for both Lot 2 and again for Lot 3. So we have a motion by Pittman. We have a second by Highslope. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-31 approves and authorizes the mayor to sign the contract for sale and purchase between the City of Clewiston and Advanced Medical Sanitation, Inc. for the sale of approximately 1.5 acres on the interior northwest corner designated Lot 10A and attached on Exhibit A. The contract price is $78,408, which will be adjusted at closing to $1.20 per square foot. Do we have any citizens that wish to comment on this item? Hearing none, the recommended action is to approve the motion. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Pittman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Highslope. Discussion?
And I had some additional
Yes, I
information
was
to
just
share
gonna
on
say
this
we have
one
some
at
additional.
some point after you. If the board doesn't have any further discussion, I wanted to interject some additional information.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
In the agenda package, I gave you a information on the type of activities this business does. It's an established business on the East Coast area near Miami that has been in business, as I understand it, at that location for 10 years. They have been very, very interested in coming here. They were looking at another lot within the park, but then we had the contract provision that forced us to have to make an offer to the existing business next door. And so they've moved their interest across the cul-de-sac to this site. The additional information, I had a couple of questions, so I just wanted to share this as a follow-up to what was in your agenda package. Specifically, I wanted to give a little more information about the autoclave aspect that they use in this business. Did confirm that it's located inside the building and involves the use of a steam boiler-driven unit that's approximately 8 feet by 4 feet in size, and it allows them to push carts, hand carts in that can hold up to 3 at a time, and they use this to sanitize or process the equipment and materials that go inside that have been exposed or to bio-type medical hazards. The equipment is powered by steam, as I mentioned, at approximately 290 degrees for a duration of approximately 45 minutes, which eliminates the biohazard aspect. The steam water is then disposed of through the sewer system and poses no hazard in that process. The size of the boiler was of interest to me, and it's in the range of a 15 to 20 horsepower. Is typical. This specific company currently uses a 15 horsepower boiler. It's less than the boiler size that the state regulates and requires special permitting for. It is substantially under those requirements. It's considered to be a fairly small boiler, as I understand it. The autoclave aspect also, I asked them about the percentage of the company's total scope of services that provides to their customers, and they estimated that 25% of the company's business actually utilizes that piece of equipment. After processing, by the use of the autoclave, waste is disposed of at a permitted landfill by a separate hauler. This does not go into our collection stream or through our local facility located on Olympia that's managed by the county, Lee County, through the landfill process. In fact, the landfill that this is going to go to, as I understand it, it's in Okeechobee, is the one they're going to utilize for this disposal. And again, the owners indicated they've been operating in a current location with no concern from their neighboring property owners for 10 years and without issue related to the operation of the autoclave. I just add that as supplemental information in the record since some questions were asked about it, and I'd be glad to try to answer any others that did not adequately address in the information. But I am convinced at this point that it is worthy of making a recommendation and going forward. The owners will have to do their due diligence. Our attorney prepared the contract, so it is, in my opinion, favorable to the city's position. It requires them to pursue any permits or anything they're required to have, including getting zoning clearance as a conditional use within our ordinance. And that will require site plan review and approval.
Okay. Just a second. Those of you that are on the phone, would you please mute your phones for us? Thank you.
That'll be helpful.
I've been guilty of that before, so.
All right, but I'll be glad to answer any questions any of the commission has or comments.
And when this was first brought up, I did the research on the company and found that they were very much self-contained and was not going to be a negative impact on the community. Molly, what did you want to say?
No, I did. I researched the company as well, and I think that, from what I can read and what I have found, they seem to be a very professional company. Yeah. My concern is that, the Commerce Park was built upon a CPID, and that these were allowed uses in the park, and then there was, some conditional uses. And when I look at that CPID and I went back and read it, I couldn't find any, in my mind or in my understanding, a correlation of what we allow in there with this type of company. And so my question was to Randy, why aren't we going through the process as we did previously, where, even though we have mechanical in here under our CPID, that we went through a process of doing a new ordinance and changing and modifying the CPID because of a business, because it didn't explicitly say the type of business that wanted to go into the park. And so that was my question. To me, it doesn't fit into our CPID, and that I think it needs to go through the same process as we did previously this past year or last year, to have more public input, to have a whole process that we go through. I know Randy mentioned several under 110-4952 that he felt that staff had reviewed, like carpet and rug cleaning, diaper service, linen supply, exterminating, and janitorial as, I guess, similar uses that are allowed in the park. And when I looked at the website and when I see biohazard, I see hazardous pollution, and I know it's medical. I know that all of the hospitals and health care centers and veterinary services, it's just, to me, when we envisioned that park, this is not one of the uses. It never came up to have a waste facility out there. And I'm saying is that I don't see it in what we have under the CPID, our diaper cleaning service, the same as biomedical waste. I find that a stretch. So I think that we had to go through a process with one of the previous interested parties, and I think we should go through the same process again on this to make sure that, we look at everything and that there's time for public input like there was the last time.
Mr. Brandenburg?
I have to agree that when you look at the permitted uses and the conditional uses, this use is not specifically laid out. So staff, as interpreting the code, is trying to look at the next closest type of a use that could be fit into here, and that's why they suggested those topics. Under the permitted uses, it does say medical devices, dental equipment, and supplies. And I think that the material they're autoclaving is going to be reused as a supply. It might fit in there. On the other hand, as Commissioner Gardner says, if you're going to allow this use in the park, you might want to specifically allow it as a conditional use and define it narrowly so that that use could not be expanded to things that you might not like in the future. And That's an ordinance amendment that we could draft up. You have to have 2 readings on it, just like you did before, as the commissioner said, for the auto use that you were putting in there.
Because I did talk to Randy about my concern is that we had another company that they were going to be incinerating, and that was definitely a concern for me. And I know,
Right, and that,
right,
I agree.
this is
Understand.
completely different, but those are my thoughts. We went through a different process because it wasn't specific to the business that wanted to go out in the park, even though we didn't have a problem with it, and we discussed it as a commission. We went through the public process of making the change, and I just feel that we should do the same thing with this one because there's different interpretations, but who knows in 10 years from now how that interpretation can change again
Right.
on the use.
So would that put us in a holding pattern on this until that change was made?
I think what you could do is expand the inspection period so that we could go ahead with the contract, and then you could see during the inspection period whether or not you were going to amend the ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Martin?
2 comments, and appreciate the city attorney's observation on that, and I would concur that's it's a good way to handle it. Only difference with the previous change that we did in the ordinance, that one was clearly there was nothing that we could really come to at a staff level for auto repair kind of operation and painting and things like that. That seemed to be a stretch, a pretty heavy stretch, and that's why the staff at that time and agreed that that to be safe, we needed to do a modification to the ordinance. I certainly don't have an objection to the ordinance being modified through the process. That is part of why we felt like it, as the city attorney pointed out, you could make an argument on some of the uses in the allowed uses, but we felt it ought at least be a conditional use to require site plan approval and that process, a public process in and of itself, to ensure that it doesn't have any of those undesirable impacts on adjoining properties and adjoining uses, because that would be counterproductive to our efforts to sell the rest of the lots. And so I think everybody would be better protected. But whether it comes to that or an ordinance provision specifically for this, I have no objection to that. I agree that the current due diligence period is too short to accommodate that. So I have no objection to extending that, and I don't think the owner will either, and we can get whatever information we need. I do recommend that we approve the contract if you expand that, and we can do further due diligence on staff. But we felt like some of these uses, because you can never be comprehensive in all of the potential uses in any ordinance, it baffles the mind because things change. And this business has grown, and particularly the PPE elements of it, the personal protective equipment, that has changed obviously tremendously in the last year. And there are a lot of businesses, startups and things that have jumped into that field. This business was already in it, and they provide the collection equipment and materials and disposables like the proper boxes and things to handle these types of disposable items for these medical facilities. So I just recommend we do the contract. I have no objection to extending or would not, it doesn't matter if I object. I wouldn't recommend we not put it on hold, because I think that sends the wrong message to the business that they may end up going somewhere else. So I would like to take the attorney's input on what is a reasonable period. I would think, 60 days, Mr. Attorney? What do you think?
You need 2 meetings.
2
Whether
meetings.
you're not 2 meetings.
So
Well, how far
7th.
apart do the meetings have to be?
Yeah.
I think we could do another special meeting as we have tonight.
We're at the 11th hour here, and we've all known about this. And I mean, dirty diapers and cleaning blood off a scalpel, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. You got to sanitize both of them at a certain temperature, and this is an autoclave. It's not an incinerator.
But that autoclave business is only 25% of their business. There's a lot of other stuff that goes with it. And again, Randy, you mentioned that the mechanic. I mean, we have on here plumbing, mechanical, or electrical shop, but we went ahead and did a new ordinance. I think because we wanted to do the additional due diligence and make sure that the public was aware of what would be going in, and the owners, the adjacent property owners, because I don't know at this time if any of the landowners at this time know that we're even discussing this. I know some of the current ones, but I don't know if any of the other ones do. And I just think, we talk about, letting the public know what's going on, and we did post the meeting, but unless you're attuned to what's going on, and I just think that it's not specifically in there about biohazard waste or medical waste that we're going to that's part of the approved uses. I think that we should, for the future, not knowing what might happen, go through some more of the requirements and give everybody time to look at that, because I'm not saying it's this person, but maybe the next person that they sell it to.
But I believe, just for the record, though, that this was divulged at our October report.
Yes.
The same business. I don't know. I didn't go into nearly as much in-depth detail, but at that meeting, as well as the March workshop, I did name the company on this particular one, and because they didn't have any issue with that and all of those potential uses. So I think from a public perception, it's been out there, and I do know that
the city has not notified any of the.
The other potential buyers are aware. I've provided them a list of potential neighbors that would be going in, and haven't had any objection. Again, this is the only piece of their operation, this 25%, that poses that similar hazard. Everything else they do, for the most part, other than selling the PPE and products that go to these businesses, occurs off-site. They go to individual businesses and do the safety training, the cleanups there of spills and things of that nature. They don't do any of that in the park.
So 100% of what they're going to be doing in their park is 25% of their business.
Other than storage and keeping
I'm
supplies.
sorry, I worded that wrong. 25% of their business, they're going to be doing 100% of that in the park.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's. I believe that's a correct. That's a little bit of a brain conundrum, but I think
want to
you're
understand
right.
it a little bit better.
But they're this process of using the autoclave occurs only in the park. But they do storage. They have supplies. They do their training off-site. Their cleanup of any contaminated location is all done off-site at wherever the issue occurs. And from what I understand and know at this point, within that structure, it's a fairly small unit for several thousand square foot building. So it's just a portion of their operation that goes on there. And then they have all of these medical related support equipment and supplies that they store and wholesale out to these, or retail, I guess, to the clinics and the doctor's offices and whatever. So I'm comfortable in recommending it, but if the board chooses to have them go through the process, I just at least want the contract to reflect that timetable and go ahead and approve it tonight. With that accommodated, then we can do more in depth and come back with a specific recommendation. From our staff level and my level, I believe we have enough at this point till we see a site plan to determine that it meets the intent of the ordinance and is not a stretch from some of the other allowed uses that are conditional. So I'll stop. And leave.
So, I mean, what else would you, in your mind, is there to investigate that would?
You asking me or?
No, you're going to be doing the investigation of this company. I mean,
the only thing I could have is go visit their existing operation and get some level. I have not done that. I probably would have, but for what we've been through this past year. But it is located in a business park, as I understand it, in the coastal region, and they actually have other sensitive type businesses around them that might, like I was told, is a nearby restaurant, and I haven't observed it, but I think I would like to visit the location and see and smell and look, and that's about all else I could do at this point. But we could certainly do that within the due diligence period, and if something pops up, it's not done until they get a permit.
So what is the shortest due diligence period that we could do so we could change it so that it could go into our ordinance, our CPID, just like we did last year.
All right, you can have your first reading of the ordinance on April 19th. I believe you have a meeting scheduled,
Yes.
and another one on May 17th. So we could extend the due diligence period maybe to May 25th.
See what day that is.
That's a Tuesday.
May 25th. And this is going to have to be replatted anyways, and we had committed to
Yeah,
a date
that's a good
of
point.
replatting it by July 1st. So the May 25th date is probably not going to delay them anyways.
Right.
And it would allow them, if you turn them down on the ordinance, then they could back out of the contract up to the 25th of May.
So you're saying May 25th is, we have a meeting on the 17th,
Right.
Of May,
right?
So you give them a few days after that. It could be the May 20th. That doesn't have to be May 25th. I just threw that out to give them plenty of time.
That's a very good point. The city attorney just said this one can't close until that plat process is done. So, and it could happen sooner than that. We're working hard on that now, expediting that, but certainly by May is reasonable for that.
So then we don't need to amend the motion. The motion will still stay the same to approve the contract.
It would be to approve the contract with the change to the
To the-
inspection date,
Okay.
to allow the inspection date to extend to May 25th, and adjust all other dates in the contract in a corresponding manner. Gives me a little latitude when I read it over again tomorrow.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Did I make, is the motion already down?
No, I'm going to ask, would you like to make a motion?
I thought we had one, didn't
We
we?
did, he just needs to change it to
Just
amend
if you
it, right?
just-
We already had one.
Yeah,
But
you
I'm
just
asking, did I
amend-
make the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll amend my
didn't write-
motion
yep,
as
you
per
did.
the attorney's comments.
Okay, so Mr.
Unless
Pittman.
it's going to cost us losing the sale.
That's what I was wondering.
And if
well, they'll
that's
have to
gonna happen,
re-sign it.
then I would like the manager to bring that back
Yes,
to us. I don't think it will,
No.
but I don't want to lose the sale over us causing a delay.
Yeah, and they'll have to re-sign it though.
They will,
Yeah.
but this also adds an extra precaution for them,
Right.
that the
Yeah.
use is specifically described in the ordinance, so there'll be no question about it.
Yeah, good point.
So we have an amended motion by Mr. Pittman,
An amended second.
an amended second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right. And that is it for our agenda items.
I have one question for the manager. Do we have a closing date on Mr. Gustavo's 2 lots?
Not yet. I hope to bring that back at the next meeting, a contract on those. I've got to, still working on that.
That's the only question I have.
Anybody else on the commission have any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Randy for answering all 9 million of my questions over the last couple of weeks.
Well,
I
it's
appreciate your patience.
trial by fire. You've had to jump in it quick.
True,
Yeah,
but I appreciate you.
thank you.
Mr. Brandenburg, anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gardner, second by Pittman. In favor? Aye.
Thank you for being willing to do this, and we'll
And
keep
again,
playing.
at any time, even
Yes.
if we have to do special meeting in May, I'm more than happy
Yeah,
to
not
do
a
that.
problem.
Okay.
Or